This conference will now be recorded.
So in the previous session, we have discussed about the concept of profiles. We have discussed what exactly the profile is and what is the use and why should we go for the profiles in Salesforce especially, and what we can do with the help of profiles we have discussed, and what kind of permissions we can grant through the profiles we have discussed yesterday. And as part of the practical, we have discussed how to grant the access on the applications and the tabs we have discussed. Now, today we see the few more configuration features, how to grant the permissions and these features through profiles we'll see. Now, so with the help of this profile, we can grant the access on objects also. That means what? As part of my Salesforce organization, I'm having so many objects, including standard, including custom, everything. Salesforce has given so many ready-made objects to us, and then we have created some more objects also according to our business requirement, like as customer, position, candidate, branch, loan, doctors, patient. Like that, we can able to create some different objects also according to our business requirement. So whatever the objects are available inside the organization, and then we can grant the permissions, what objects this particular user can access. What objects this user can access, we can decide with the help of profiles. Okay, with the help of profiles, we can decide what objects this user can access. We can indicate that. And along with that, we can specify what permissions. That means what operations the user can access on each and every object. Okay, we can decide with the help of this profile. That means what? We can indicate what operations the user can access on each and every object. Now, in this case, whenever you are granting the permissions on the objects, so on each and every object, we can grant 6 types of permissions in Salesforce. Okay, on an object, we can grant 6 types of permissions. Then what kind of permissions we can grant on this object, we see practically. Now, let me explain. So now here in this case, I'm having so many objects are available inside this organization, like account object, contact object, lead object, campaign object, case object, solution object, and then we have few more objects are also available. Like I'm having a position object, custom objects, position underscore underscore C, and then hiring manager underscore underscore C, custom object, and my branch object, and the loan object, and the customer object. Like that, we can able to have our own objects also. That means what? As part of my Salesforce instance, I'm having both standard objects and custom objects also. And then whenever I'm going to be granting the permissions to the user, okay, on the profile level, this profile users can access what objects? Okay, inside my organization, I'm having so many objects, including standard, including custom. From these objects, which objects this user can access? Okay, which objects this user can access, we can decide with the help of profile. And that too, so now on these objects, what kind of operations the user can perform? That we can decide with the help of this objects itself. So now what we can do in this case here? Whenever we are granting the permissions on each and every object, Salesforce has given 6 permissions over here. Salesforce has given 6 permissions. So let me explain these permissions over. We can grant 6 types of permissions on each and every object. On every object, we can grant 6 types of permissions. On every object, we can grant 6 types of permissions. So what are those 6 types of permissions? Now let me explain. The first permission is read permission. Second one, create. Third one, edit. Fourth one, delete. Fifth one, view all. Sixth one, modify all. These are the 6 permissions we can able to grant on this object level. Upon granting the permissions on the object level, these are the 6 permissions we can able to grant. So what are those permissions over here? So now whenever I'm granting the permissions, we can able to grant read permission, create permission, edit permission, delete, and then view all, and then modify all. These are the 6 permissions we can grant on this each and every object. Then what do you mean by read permission here in this case? Now, inside this profile, suppose for example, inside this profile, if I'm selecting for the account object, if I'm selecting this read checkbox, then this year the users who are associated with this profile, those users are simply having read permission on the account records. That means just they can see the records available inside this object, but they can't create any more records, they can't modify, they can't delete, they can't see the other people's records. Whatever the records they have created in the past, only those records they can see. But they can't create new record, they can't modify, because here no create permission. That means they can't create new records. They don't have edit permission, they don't have delete permission. View all means what? We can able to view the other users records also inside the organization. Modify all means what? We can modify the other users records inside this organization, but we don't have any checkbox has been selected. So we don't have this kind of permissions over here. Okay, we don't have this kind of permission because these checkboxes are not selected. Only read checkbox has been selected. That means the user can read the record, they can see the records available inside this object. So whenever I'm going to be granting the read permission in for this account object in the profile level, then this profile users simply they can see the records available inside this account object. They can't create any more, they can't modify, they can't delete. Okay, now, so now here in this case, suppose for example, if you want to grant the create permission over here, okay, if you want to grant the create permission, so now we are going to be selecting this create checkbox. See, so whenever I'm selecting create checkbox, then it will be selecting read checkbox also automatically by default. Why? Because is here now I'm creating the record. That means what? Simply click on this account button, accounts tab, click on new button. I'm entering some data over here, sample. Okay, sample. Phone number I'm giving some value, and then website I'm giving some value. Industry I'm indicating healthcare, revenue I'm indicating some value. Now, So now active status I'm indicating yes, priority I'm indicating high. So these are the values I have entered here. When I click on save button, what will happen? Record will be saving inside the object. It will be displaying the record, right? It is displaying the record details, right? That means what? View. So that read permission. So that here, whenever I'm creating the record, after saving the record, it will be redirecting the user to the detail page so that user can see the record details also. So that here, upon selecting this create permission, read checkbox also will be getting selected automatically. This is the dependencies available. This is the logical dependency that we have. Okay, now next one. Suppose, for example, if I'm going to be granting this particular checkbox over here, edit. Whenever I'm going to be granting this edit permission, automatically read checkbox will be getting selected. Why? Because if you want to edit the record, modify the record, then what we can do generally? First of all, record should be visible to you, right? Then only we can modify. So open the record. Okay, open the record. So record I can able to see nothing but view. And then click on edit button and then you can modify the record. That means what? To modify the record, first of all we have to see. We can view the record, then only we can open it and then we can modify it. So that upon selecting this edit checkbox, automatically read checkbox also will be getting selected. Next one. So now whenever I'm going to be selecting, this delete checkbox, automatically edit checkbox also will be getting selected, read checkbox also will be getting selected here. So it is going to be editing the record internally by default, and then it is going to be granting the permission on read checkbox also. These are the logical dependencies that we have. So in this case, these are the few permissions we can grant to the users. So now read, create, edit, delete. So whatever the permissions we have granted, whatever the checkbox we have selected, based on the checkbox, respective buttons will be getting visible to you here. Suppose, for example, if I'm granting this a create permission, the new button will be visible to you. Okay, new button will be visible to you so that we can click on the new button, enter the details, create that record here. Whenever I'm selecting this edit checkbox, then only edit button will be getting visible to you, so that we can edit the record. Whenever I'm selecting this delete checkbox, delete button will be getting visible to you. Okay, delete button will be getting visible to you so that we can delete the record from that object here. That means what? Depends upon the checkbox which was selected for this object, respective buttons will be visible on that user interface. This is the internal logical dependency. So now here in this case, on my account record, I'm able to see edit button, delete button. Why? For this account object in the profile level, so edit checkbox has been selected, delete checkbox has been selected. When I click on this accounts tab, it is showing the new button. Why? Because create permission also I have. That's what here I'm able to create the new records, I'm able to modify, I'm able to delete, I'm able to view the records available inside that object over here. Now, so depends upon this particular checkboxes it has been getting selected. So based on that, respective buttons will be getting visible. Okay, this is the logical dependency. Based on these permissions only, based on this checkbox selections only, respective buttons will be getting visible on the user interface. Now, so now what exactly the concept of view all and modify all? So what do you mean by this view all and the modify all permission? So now here read permission. Read means what? We can able to see what records, your records only. What are the records you have created in the past? Those records we can see. Or so if somebody has shared some records to you, it may be manual sharing, automated sharing, those records we can see. But forcefully, other users' records, we can't see those things. Forcefully, other user records we can't see. So now if you want to see the other people's records also, okay, if you want to see the other people's records also, then we need a permission over here. What is that permission? We need a permission called as view all. Okay, view all permission. Whenever this view all permission has been getting selected, that means what? We can able to view the account records. What account records? Not only your records, other people's records also we can see. Other people's records also we can see over here. That facility is available. View all. That means all the account records which has been created by you along with the other users inside your organization. That means including development user account records also, customer user account records also, testing user account records also, manager user account records also, everybody's records I can see. The permission will be granting by view all. That means view all permission is going to be granting not only viewing my records, I can able to see other users records also. All the users inside my organization, whatever the users are available, all those users records you can see, okay, in one shot. That possibility is available.
Here he is seeing only his object or other objects also he can see.
These objects means what?
Only account object only he can see it, or everyone.
Now, because
Okay,
here
like
we have granted that view all permission only for account object, right? So only account records you can see. Suppose if
okay.
I'm granting the contact object view all, then he can see the contact records created by you and along with that other users contact records also. Okay, for every object we have this checkbox option is available. So depends upon that, okay, checkbox which you have selected, each checkbox will be granting some specific permissions to you. So in this
Okay,
case, whenever I'm granting this view all permission for the account object, so whatever the account records created by you and with all the other users, all those account records, you can able to see that. And if I'm granting modify all permission, then we can able to see other people's records also. We can modify, we can delete the other people's records also. That facilities will be available to you here. Modify all, that means all the users records I can see, I can modify, I can delete also. That facility will be available to you. So this is the concept of object level permission. That means what object records the user can able to see. What permission the user can have on each and every object, we can able to grant it. Like for example, simple concept. Assume that we are having some bank account. Now we are also able to access our bank application through website. Like as ICICIbank.com website, and we can log in with our credentials. We can see all our transactions. So whenever you are logging into your bank application, whose transaction details you can see? Only your transaction details, your account information, your transaction details, your loan details, your credit card details. Okay, only those details you can see. So another person has logged into his ICICI Bank account, so he can see his own details, his account details, his transaction details, his loan details, his credit card details. Only those details he can see. Now that means what? User to user, the records are different. That means what? For those users, they will be granting the permissions on only user level. Okay, these are the permissions they will grant. Okay, that too they will be granting that create and then read permission. Why? Because is okay. Why? Because is so now. For example, let me explain here. So now assume that I'm doing some transaction today. I have transferred the money to some other account. Then automatically one entry will be created. You have transferred the money from your account to so and so account. This is the amount on so and so date and so and so time. Now tell me, can I remove that entry from the database? No. I am the owner. I did the transaction. I'm the owner, but even though I can't remove that, I can create, I can see, but I can't delete that, I can't modify that. That means what? Inside your profile level, okay, inside your profile level, simply you will be granting the permissions as only read and create, not edit, not delete. That's what here you can do the transaction. You are the owner of the transaction, but you can't, okay, you can't modify, you can't delete the transaction entries. That is fixed. Okay, now for example, when you go to the bank organization, bank branch, Then the bank employee can access which customer details, everybody's details. Every customer details he can see, every customer's account details, their transaction details, and their loan details, their credit card details, everything he can see. Because in his profile, he is having view all and modify all permission. And in my profile, I'm having simply read and create permissions are there. Okay. Employees are having different profile. We are having different profiles. So we are having only read and create permissions so now we can see only our details over here, our records, whatever the transactions, okay, which we have made in the past, we can see our details and we can create some more transactions also. But we can't see the other people's information. But when you go to the bank employee details, then bank employees are having their own profile, and then in that profile they're having view all and modify all permission, so that they can view our details also, they can modify our details also. That possibility is there. That's what, whenever if you want to register your mobile number, we have to go to the bank branch and we have to make an application. If you want to update your address details, you have to go to the bank branch, we have to make it over. So in this case, what happened? Those people are having the rights. You don't have the rights here, because they can see all the customer details, but you can see your details here. That's what here depends upon that application requirement. We will be granting the permissions over here. So view all and modify all permission will be granting the full permissions on other users' records also. Other users' records also will be able to access with the help of view all and modify all permission. That facility is available for you. Okay.
No. So what? Hello.
Excuse me.
So what is difference between this sharing settings and this profile? What we are
now sharings are simply used to indicate, okay, to share the records. That's it, not on the features. And then these profiles are used to grant the permissions on features, not on the records, objects, applications, fields, page layouts, record types, and the features we can grant the permission. What features the user can able to access. For that one, we are using profiles. But sharing are only to share the records, not the features. Okay. Only for the record level visibility, we can go with the sharing concept. For the feature level visibility, we can go with the profiles. Okay.
Yes.
Now. So now here in this case. So whatever the objects you would like to make it visible to the people, we can grant the permissions over here. Okay, depends upon your application requirement, you can grant the permissions on the required objects with the required level of permissions. For on each and every object, we can grant 6 levels of permissions. Okay, read, create, edit, delete, view all, and modify all permissions.
Difference between create and edit, sir?
Create means what? You can create the records inside the object. New records you can create. Edit means you can modify the existing records also.
Create is only for new record creation. We cannot edit old records. Okay.
No, you can't edit old records. If you want to edit the old record, then we need edit permission over here.
Okay, thank you.
Now, so these are the 6 levels of permissions we can grant on each and every object to the users. Now,
So will it differs when the default level changes?
default level changes in the sense?
Like if the default level is private, so how will this?
Now, let me explain. Let me come to that point as well here. For example, assume that sometimes they will raise a question in the entry point of view. Assume that I have an account object. On this account object, the OWD has been indicated as private. Private means what? Whenever a user creates a record, the record will be visible only to the owner of the record and his manager. You know that concept. Other users inside the organization will not be able to access it. Okay? Now. So now here in this case, okay? Now here in this case. In my profile level, suppose for example here, so now X user creates a record. Whenever X user is creating the record, so now X user will be able to see the record and he's a manager. Okay, both they can able to do that. So we have a Y user also. In this Y user, inside his profile level, okay, inside his profile level, he is having view all permission and he is having modify all permission also. What will happen in this case? Okay, in his profile level, for the account object, he is having view all modify. What will happen? OWD is doing what? OWD is restricting because it's private. OWD private means what? It is restricting that. Only whenever X user is creating the record, only X user and his manager can see. Suppose if Y user is creating the record, then only Y user and his manager can see the record. That's it. But in the Y user's profile, okay, for the account object, he's having view all and modify all permission. What will happen in this case? Will Y user can see the account records information or not? In this case, what will happen? Even though objects OWD is restricting nothing but giving very less level of permission, but inside the profile, whatever the permissions you have granted, now these two permissions will override the OWD. The view all and modify all permissions of the profile will override the OWD. It will be forcefully collecting the access of all the account records. It will make it visible to the Y user. Okay, first of all, it will be considering the profile level permissions here, not OWD level. If OWD is giving very basic level, profile will override that. Profile will override. That facility is available over here. Okay, even though if the account objects OWD is equals to private, inside your profile, if you're having view all and modify all permission, then the profile level permissions will override the OWD and forcefully it will be collecting all the account records available in the object. It will make it visible to that Y user. So Y user can see X user records also, even though the OWD of the object is private, because Y user is having the permission called as view all and modify all. Because profile level permissions will be giving more preference. Profile level permissions will be giving more preference over here. Okay, this is how the internal concept.
Sir, okay. If the OWD is public and profile is restricting, then what will happen?
Now, then you can't get the access over there. That means OWD is granting full permission, profile is giving very less permission. Only profile level permissions will be getting considered, always. Always profile level permissions will be the first priority.
Okay.
Okay. Only the profile level permission will be considering as the first priority. Highest priority will be profile level here.
So, sir, like sharing settings are record level permissions, OWD is object level, and this is profile level.
Yes, right. No. So this is the way. So now how can we grant the permissions? Now let me show you practically in the profile level. Let's go to your instance. Now, let me take a small use case. configure the profile level permissions to the development user as below. On the account object, grant read, create, edit, and delete. All these 4 permissions. For the lead object, simply grant the read permission. For the case object, simply grant read permission and then create permission. And for the position object or the hiring manager object, on the hiring manager object, grant read permission and the create permission and the edit permission. These 3. This is my requirement. How can we do that? Now let's see practically. So now for the development users profile, I want to grant the permissions on the objects like this. Only these permissions I would like to grant. How can we do that? Now let's see practically. Now, so let's go to the development users profile. Go to the users. Go to the development user. For this user, what is the profile that we have assigned? Now this is the profile. For the development user, this is the profile that we have. Here is the development user. CIS Salesforce profile. Okay. Now, click on this. So now click on edit button. Go to that object level settings. Go to the object level setting. When you come down, you will be having object level permissions. See, these are the object level permissions. So now the first 4 will be the basic access, nothing but only on your records. Remaining 2 are nothing but remaining 2 view all and modify all is nothing but administration level permissions. You will be having all the objects are available. Whatever the objects are there, all the objects are available with along with 6 checkboxes, including custom objects also. So if the checkbox is not selected, that means what? You don't have that permission on that object. Okay, you don't have that permission on that object. Okay, now. So now what is my requirement right now? So now I want to grant read, create, edit, delete on account. So let's go to that account object. So these 4 are already selected over here. For the account object, we have read, create, edit, and the delete. And next one. So on the contact object, sorry, on the lead object, what is the permission? Only read permission. So on the lead object, only read permission. Okay, lead object, only read permission. Okay, only read permission. This is the read permission. Next. On the case object, read and the create. On the case object, read and create permission, I'm granting it over here. On the hiring manager object, I would like to grant the permissions as read, create, and edit. So I'm going to the hiring manager object, read, create, and edit. These are the permissions I'm granting over here. Okay. So now depends upon the permissions which are granted, only those objects. Suppose now if you are not selecting this any of the checkboxes on the customer object, then you don't have the permissions over here at all. Okay. Now click on save button. Now let's go to the development user. Click on view users. For this profile, development user is there. Click on login. Now let's see. When you go to the account, we will be having full permissions. Click on new button. Create the new records also here. Test record 2020. So website value, fax number, phone number, rating, annual revenue, industry, type also, active status, priority, save. He can able to create the record also, and he can able to modify the record also over here. He can view the record, everything. He's having all the permissions over here. Next, when you go to the lead, and the lead, what kind of permissions we have granted? Only read. See, go to the leads. Now tell me, do we have any new button over here? Why you don't have that permission to create a new record? We don't have the new button to create the new record here. We don't have any access to create the new record. So existing records are there. Ekta Kapoor record is there, who is the owner, development user, but even though his record he can't modify. Okay, previously has created the record, but he can't modify, he can't delete, because we have removed the profile level permissions over there. Okay, now next one. When you go to this hiring manager object, what are the permissions you have granted over here? Read, create, and edit. Go to the hiring manager. Now he is able to create the new record, like as so. Now test HR, test HR 1, contact number somewhere, location some Hyderabad, email ID test@some gmail.com. Click on save. That means what? He can create the record and then he can able to see the record. Whether this person can able to modify the record or not, yes, we have granted edit permission also. He's changing the location from Hyderabad to Bangalore. Now click on save. Now tell me, do we have any delete button is available over here? No. Why? We did not selected the delete checkbox. That means what? Depends upon that checkbox which are selected, respective buttons are visible over here. If you are selecting, if you are granting create permission, then new button will be visible. If you are granting edit permission, edit button will be visible. If you are granting delete permission, delete button will be visible to you. That means depends upon the checkbox which are selected, respective buttons are visible to you on the user interface. This is how we can able to control the buttons also inside your profile. Okay, depends upon the permission which are granted in the profile level, only those permissions are applicable to this particular user.
Sir, when will the sharing button will appear?
If you are the owner of the record, then only sharing button will be getting visible to you here. The two object level OWD should be private.
So if it is a public, then it will not be available, sir. If
Sorry?
it is a public, if OWD
Public
is a
read only also. Public read only also, it will be getting visible to you. Public read write also, it will be visible to you.
okay.
Okay.
I have a question, sir.
Yes.
Sir, if I want to edit the previous record, how can I go to the how can I edit the previous record without having the read permission, without having the read button?
Without having the?
How can I view the previous record, sir, if I want to edit the previous?
If you want to, then tell me. Sometime back you have created some records. Now if you want to modify those things, then
Yes.
first of all, if you want to modify the record, then you have to view the record first, right?
Yes.
The record should be visible to you, right? So that read permission should be mandatory, and then to edit the record, we need edit button also mandatory. Edit permission, both.
With only the edit permission, we could not able to edit the previous record. Am I right?
Right. So you not whenever you are selecting that, edit automatically read will be getting selected. Let me show you that logical dependency right now. Now let me show you that. Let's go to that user's profile. Go to that object level permissions. See, for example, for one object. So this is the customer object here. I am selecting read, only read has been selected. I am unselecting this one. If I am selecting this create, automatically read also selected over here. Now, suppose I am selecting edit button. If I am selecting edit checkbox, automatically read also will be getting selected. If I am selecting that delete, automatically read and edit also will be getting selected by default. Suppose if I am selecting that view all, read will be getting selected. If I am selecting modify all, read and the edit and the delete and the view all will be getting selected automatically by default here. Okay, this is the logical dependency that we have. Okay. Yeah.
So any drawbacks which can be done with development in security features?
Drawback in the sense?
Like if the person is only assigned to delete the record, so he can have read option mandatory.
Yes, mandatorily, because here, if you are granting the permission on the delete, then not only the delete, it will be selecting automatically read and edit also both. Because
But
even
not
though you are doing through development, okay, even though if you're doing development, permissions will be granted through profile only. Suppose, for example, okay, I think you are from the development batch also, you are attending development sessions also, right? Now, for example, let me explain. Assume that today you are creating a candidate record. How you are creating the candidate record? You are creating the object of the candidate class. So candidate __ C, some CND equals to new candidate __ C. You are passing the value. CND dot name equals to some so and so. You are passing so many values also. Each and every field value, and then you are inserting okay CND. That means you are inserting a candidate record. Whenever you are inserting the candidate record, when you try to execute this code, first of all, it will collect this particular user permission. That means whatever the user he is executing, that means you are currently logged in username, it will collect the user ID, and then this user is associated to which profile it will verify. It will go to the profile. In this profile level, for this candidate object, it will verify whether you are having create permission is selected or not. If the create permission is selected, then only record will be getting created, or else it will be showing the message to you insufficient privileges. Okay, this is the internal concept. Even though you may be creating the record by using any manner, first of all, it will go to the profile. In the profile level, it will verify so whether you are having these permissions or not. If you're having the permissions in the profile level, then only your operation will be getting accepted over there. You may come up with a data loader also, integrations also, third-party tools also, Apex programming also, anywhere you can come up. Ultimately, first of all, verification will be done inside that profile only here. Okay?
Yeah, yes.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello, sir.
Just tell me.
Question. In manage users, there is a user section. Is there, sir? Can you open one, sir? In user. Sir, here there is you have edit login option.
Right.
But I have only edit options there, sir. Login options is not coming.
That already told you how to get this login option. Login option will be collected with the help of a feature called as login access policies. Go to the login access policies and then you can enable the option, then only will get that.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So for that one, we have used two features. Grant account login access, second one, login access policies. Two options I told you.
Grant access feature, sir.
Grant account login access and the second one, login access policies. Two options are available.
Okay, that session. Okay, sir.
Okay.
So you made changes to Salesforce profile using development user. Are these settings reflected to this?
Hello.
The Salesforce profile setting are also reflecting to training batch also?
No. So whenever you are making the changes in the profile level, only that profile will be getting reflected, not the other profiles.
Sir, but this profile is used by training batch also.
Sorry?
Salesforce profile. Salesforce profile is also used by training batch also.
No. Because here training batch user is using system administrator profile. This profile name is different. This is a different profile. This is a different profile here.
But internal settings are also different for these profiles.
Yes, right. Options are available, but whatever the permissions you have granted in this profile, different permissions are there. In this profile, different permissions are available.
Okay.
Okay. These permissions are applicable for these users. These permissions are applicable for these users here. Okay.
But internally, system administrator is also using Salesforce license, sir.
Yes, right. He is using Salesforce license because administrator should have the controlling on all the features. He should be able to control all the users, all the features. That's what here he will be using Salesforce license, because Salesforce license is granting the access on all the functionalities of Salesforce, including standard, including custom.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Now, so this is how we are going to be granting the permissions on object level permissions, and then we can able to specify what operations the user can perform on each and every object. The next one. The next one is we can decide what fields the user can access. So now each and every object we are having so many fields are available. From those fields, what fields the user can access, we can decide. The possibilities available. So now here in this case, how can we grant the field level permissions? For example, sometimes they will raise a question. Assume that I have an object. Like for example, hiring manager object. In this hiring manager object, I have 4 fields. Okay, 4 fields. So now these fields are like the name field, which is a standard field. And then we have location field. And then we have email ID field. And we have contact number. These are the 4 fields are available. Now my requirement is, so now on this object, all the users will be having access. Like system admin, that means development user, the training batch user. Training batch user should be able to access all the fields. Okay, should be able to access all the fields. And the development user, okay, should be able to access only the name field and the email ID field and then contact number. Other fields should not be visible. That means location field should not be visible to this particular user. Then how can we decide? Currently, in the system administrator level here, that means training batch users profile is having the permissions on all the fields. But now for the development user profile, I want to grant the access on only name field, email ID field, and the contact number field. Development user is associated to which profile? His profile name is what? Okay, CIS Salesforce profile. CIS Salesforce profile. This is the profile. So on this profile level, we need to grant the permissions on only for this particular fields here. Okay, only for this particular field, I need to grant the permission. Then how can we do that here? How can we do that? Now let's see practically in this case. Simply we can do that. Then if you want to grant the permissions on the field level, what fields the user can access, we can decide. So for that reason here, simply go to the development users profile and then go to that hiring manager object fields, and there you can able to make the changes over here. Now let me show you practically. So now currently development user is able to see all the 4 fields. Let me show you right now, current thing. So when you go to the hiring managers, they can see all the 4 fields over here: name, contact number, location, email ID. But I don't want to display the location. Only 3 fields I want to make it visible. How can we do that? Let's go to the development users profile. Click on, that is the profile name, CS Salesforce profile. Click on edit button. Go to the field level security section. Go to the field level security section here, page layouts, and then field level security. What fields to be get visible to which profile users? Here we can decide. So now what object fields you want to make it control hiring manager. So let's go to the hiring manager. Click on field. That means this is the profile. What is the profile name right now over here? This is CS Salesforce profile. For this profile users in the hiring manager object, what fields you want me to make it visible over here? Go to that hiring manager object over here. Click on view. So it is indicating that these are the fields are available. I don't want to make it visible all. So click on edit button. Click on edit button over here. So now this is a field, location field, I don't want to make it visible. So unselect this. Okay, unselect this. That means don't display this particular field over here. Now click on save button. Now, from now onwards, development user can't see the location field inside that hiring manager object. Let's see that. Let's go with the testing part. Go to the users. Log in into the development user right now. Go to the hiring managers. Click on now, new. We can see only the name field, email ID field, contact number field. Location field will not be visible to that hiring for that development user here. He can't see that. Okay, he can't see this field over here. But the training batch user can see all the fields. But hiring manager, the development user can't see these fields. That means what? Depends upon the profile, we can able to grant the different fields to be get visible to the people. That possibility is available to you over here. That possibility is available. Depends upon your application requirement, we can decide which fields to be get visible to which profile users. We can show that practically. Now, so this is the way we can able to implement that. Okay, this is how we can able to grant the permissions on the profile level and the field levels also. What fields the user can access, we can able to see, and then general permissions also we can able to grant. Okay, so what general permissions you want to grant?
Custom object, right? Did you create it in the system administrator profile or the CIS profile?
No, because here upon creating that object through administrator account, I have granted the permission to all the profile users.
Oh, so
everybody can able to see that. So currently here everybody can able to see, and then I'm going to be restricting right now that this field should not be visible to the development user. I will go to the profile and then I'm going to be removing the permissions on that field.
Okay, so like can we do custom objects in individual like CIS profile and other profiles also?
Yes, we can do that. Upon creating the object, we can select only those profiles. So
not
only
with the
those
system
profiles
administrator. While creating itself, can we go to the CIS Salesforce not the CIS profile, and can we do that?
Yes, we can do that, but we need that permissions also. Object management permissions and the application management permissions, user management permissions, you should be aware of that inside the profile.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, and then we can able to grant the general permissions, custom permissions, administrative permissions also. Like administrative permissions in the sense what, for this user, if you want to grant the permission to create the Apex class, okay, then if you want to grant the permission to create the Apex classes inside the organization, we have to grant the permission called as other Apex permission. Other Apex permission. We have to grant the permission called as other Apex permission over there. Whenever if you want to grant, the user can able to create that Apex classes inside the organization, then he should be having the permission called as other Apex. Like for example, when you go to that user's profile, when you go to the development user's profile, you can able to grant the administrative permissions also. So let me go with that administrative permissions. In this administrative permissions, you will be having one permission called as other Apex. Okay, other Apex permission. If this other Apex permission is available, then only you can able to Okay, then only we can able to manage. Then only we can able to manage the Apex classes. That means we can create our own Apex classes also. That possibility will be available to you. Okay, so if you don't have this checkbox is selected, then you can't create the Apex classes. Of course, you are one of the user. You can access my records, you can access my objects, you can access my features, but you can't create any Apex classes inside this by your own. So that inside the profile level, everything will be controlling by the administrators. If you want to create the reports also, then we should have the permission over here. Create and customize reports. Create and customize reports. Then only you can able to create the reports also inside your organization. If you want to customize the applications, then you should be able to have the permission called as, okay, create customize application. Only whenever you are having this customize applications permission, then only we can able to customize these applications also. Like that here, we need the permissions on each and every feature level inside your profile. Whenever you are having the permissions, then only you can able to do the respective operations inside your organization also. That facility is available to you here. Okay, so depends upon your application requirement, we can able to grant the required permissions over here by using this particular profile. So that we can grant general permissions, administrative permissions, all these things we can able to grant with the help of this profile level.
I have a question, sir.
Yes.
Customized application means in the sense the features in the applications or what do you mean of customized
Yes. So in that application, whatever the objects are available, what objects to be get visible on that particular tab bar initially, and then everything we can customize over there.
For that we have the features. We have different kinds of applications, right?
Yes,
like
right.
Object, like the object permissions, like fields permissions. Why can't we use those instead of using these customized applications?
No. See, suppose for example, I am the administrator. Okay, I am the administrator. So you are one of my subordinate here. You are a technical lead. So as of now, I'm taking care of everything, managing the organization, objects, application, features, users, everything I'm going to be taking care of. But from tomorrow onwards, I'm going for a vacation for 2 days. So in this next 2 days, we will take care of these particular responsibilities here, managing the applications. We will take care of that because every day as part of my daily activities, I'm customizing the application features. So what I want to do is I will delegate this responsibility to you. So how I will go to your profile. In that profile, I will be granting the permission customize application so that you will be getting the permission to customizing those application tabs, everything according to the business need for the 2 days. Once the 2 days are over, I will remove the permission from you and then I will be continuing to working on this one. Like that here, we can grant the permissions of this. Okay. So this is how we can able to grant the permissions on the general permissions, custom permissions, administrative permissions also, okay, for the users through with the help of profiles. Okay, and then how can we grant some more permissions like as password policies, Apex classes, Visualforce pages? Apex classes and Visualforce pages we'll see later on because during the development concept. And then we have 2 more important features we have to discuss: login hours and login IP ranges, session settings and password policies we'll see in the next session. So that by the next session, we are going to we are completing that security part. We have permission set is there on the same day we can complete the permission set concept also. With that one, we can close that security concept. We'll go with that other concepts as well.